We're about to kick off a video series that I've been wanting to do for a long time. We are about to embark on a search for the lost Spanish gold here in Utah. Before we kick off today's video, which is the first of a new series of videos that I'm really excited about, I need to address the hurricanes and natural disasters which have just destroyed the southeastern United States. We're well aware of the situation. We've received hundreds and thousands of emails, messages, phone calls from many people, basically telling us to go get involved. And as you guys know, it's something we love to do. We love to be able to jump in and help when and where we can, and we've been doing it for a long time. And we've learned that sometimes the best thing is not always to just jump in your truck or your helicopter or whatever and head towards the scene of disaster, because sometimes that ends up creating more harm than good, and it just adds to the chaos. So with this situation, we ended up working with a couple groups of friends of ours who sent smaller helicopters out there to get boots on the ground and get a real idea of what was happening. And what we found was actually really surprising. We found that of all the people that went out there to help, about 70% of the aircraft and equipment and stuff that headed out that way to do good ended up sitting around unable to do anything. And it was because there was bad intel, poor communication, state and federal agencies kind of put a little bit of a chokehold on things. It wasn't as easy as just heading that way and getting to work. Unfortunately, we wish it was that easy because we have tools and equipment and resources to help, but at the end of the day, funds aren't unlimited. We don't have unlimited resources to donate to this sort of thing, although we donate a lot. But to us, that money's sacred. Last thing we want to do is spend 150 grand to get the Black Hawk out there and then have it sit around and do nothing. It's not a intelligent way to approach this situation. So I just wanted to address this and let you guys know that we're not ignoring it. We're well aware of it. Had we taken the Black Hawk or any of our other equipment out there, there's a good chance that we would have just sat around doing very little and not being able to be nearly as helpful as we wanted to be. We're not ignoring this because we actually really wanted to go, but we didn't want to go contribute to the chaos. So I appreciate everybody reaching out. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody wanting to donate. And if there is something that we can do and there's actually missions that we can go out there and be productive with, we will absolutely do it. But in the meantime, we're not going to waste time, money, energy, and resources on something that is just not effective. I appreciate the support, and I hope you guys really enjoy this new video series because it's a good one. Back in the 16th, 17th centuries, a bunch of Spanish explorers and missionaries started mining for gold, and legend has it, they found a lot of it. I'm talking like lots and lots of gold, billions of dollars worth of gold. They smelted it down into bars, which they then stashed all over the place. But if you follow the legend more closely and you look at some of the maps and some of the historical records, the bulk of the Spanish gold was hidden somewhere here in the Uinta Mountains of Utah. But the problem is, they never had a chance to come back and get it.
Scott, all these lights that don't work.
What?
Well, the batteries probably need to be changed.
What are you looking for?
Lights. So we have, boom, this light. Oh, I'd like to shut it off now. This light, let's see if it works. Oh, 2 for 2. But then he's got, this thing was hanging there. It's the Mighty Light, which is a sweet name, but they're not charged. It'd be cool if it worked.
Guys, when it comes to making money, there's a million different ways to do it. Some ways are much easier and some ways are much harder. Mining gold is one of the harder ways to make money. And one of the easier ways to make money is brought to you by the sponsor of today's video, which I'm gonna try to tell you about in less than 60 seconds because I respect your time and I'm not trying to make this whole thing an ad. The free Upside app will get you cash back on daily essential purchases that you're gonna be making regardless. Things like gas, convenience store, and dining. Well, I'm hungry. The Timbermine Steakhouse, which is one of my favorite steakhouses, offers me 16% cash back, and all I gotta do is just go eat there and upload the receipt. Now you can go buy a tank of fuel. Find the one that has the highest cash back, go there. You wanna go to a convenience store? Find the one that has the highest cash back, go there. 5 to 20% cash back on every purchase you make. Top Upside earners can earn up to like $300 a month. Upside is paying out over $1 million in cash back every single week to its users. Click the link in my description below, download the free Upside app and use the promo code SPARKS, and they're gonna give you an additional 25 cents cash back on your first tank of fuel. Thank you, Upside, for sponsoring the video. Thank you guys for being patient as we learn how to make these ads as short and sweet as possible.
You're gonna keep hitting that random pointless rock?
So my fascination with the lost Spanish treasure has taken me down some pretty wild roads, but honestly, none of them quite like the one I'm on now. And it turns out I'm not the only one who spent years trying to uncover this mystery. There are a few old-timers right here in Utah who have dedicated a huge portion of their lives searching for this legendary treasure, and it's become clear to me just how crucial it is to meet with them now while we still can. The main guy I reached out to is Terry Carter. Not only did he agree to meet with us, but he also brought two of his closest treasure hunting friends into the fold. They've spent years piecing together the puzzle, and now they're finally willing to share their hard-earned information with us.
So you'd say you've been a treasure hound since the early 80s?
Since the early 80s.
Okay. And how often are you working on this?
You know, work gets in the way, family gets in the way, but when I got a free moment, you know, if I'm not researching, I'm out there interviewing people, I'm out exploring, and the biggest treasure to me is the people you get to meet, the stories you get to hear, the artifacts you'll get to see sometimes, and that to me is a treasure.
I agree.
That's a huge treasure to me.
You get the snacks?
Some snacks.
Got involved with this back in 1979, just a short time before I met Terry. One of my coworkers was a cousin of Gail Rhodes. That means a connection.
Yeah.
Got interested, bought his book, visited several times with Gail Rhodes, got to meet him, and learn a lot about this kind of stuff. Right after that, my dad, because I was interested in, he had found some symbols up on Mosby Mountain. You don't find those symbols anymore, hardly at all. So most of the pine trees up in there had elaborate symbols on them.
So my grandfather used to deer hunt in the Uintas when I was a boy. I was raised up by my grandparents. We'd go to places like where Stillwater Dam is built now, before the dam was built, and it was called Milk Springs. And it would take all day in a Jeep to get there from Duchesne. Grandpa would be fishing, I'd be off hiking and exploring around. And I'd find these old caves and these old places that I still remember where they're at today, and go to a few of them still to this day.
I'll give you a brief history. Back in the 16th, 17th centuries, a bunch of Spanish explorers and missionaries spent a lot of time in the American West, and one of the things that they spent a lot of time doing was collecting and gathering treasures. They worked kind of with and against the Native American tribes that were here on the land, and essentially started mining for gold, and legend has it, they found a lot of it. I'm talking like lots and lots of gold. And what they did is, with this gold and silver that they found, they smelted it down into bars, which they then stashed in different places all over the place. But if you follow the legend more closely and you look at some of the maps and some of the historical records, what they say is that the bulk of the Spanish gold was hidden somewhere here in the Uinta Mountains of Utah, which is exactly where we're at.
One of the main goals here, if not the main goal, is to keep the story alive and not let this information get lost with time, because you've seen valuable information that just disappeared.
We're at a 9,000 foot peak right here at the start of the Uinta Mountains. And if you're not familiar with the Uinta Mountain Range, it's basically kind of up in the northeast corner of Utah, and it's the biggest range right before the Rockies. Now, the Uintas is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It is extremely remote, extremely hard to get to, which is why having a helicopter is a really big deal. Now, you may be wondering, why did the Spanish hide their gold here? Back in the 1700s, moving that much material, that much heavy material, was very difficult to do. And so the logistical challenge was an absolute nightmare. So basically, anytime that they would try to move gold, they would have to, you know, trudge up and down these mountain ranges and these hills and try to find a way to transport the gold back to a port somewhere where they could ship it back overseas without being stopped by Indians or other people that wanted to take it from them. In an effort to preserve their gold and keep it from being stolen, they found different areas, old mines, old caverns, caves, different areas deep in the mountains where they would hide the gold, and the plan was to come back and grab it and be able to move it once they had, you know, a better system in place. The problem is, they never had a chance to come back and get it. And for years, people have been searching these hills, trying to find where they stashed it.
What do you think it is about the Uinta Mountain Range that makes it such a hot spot?
There is only 2 mountain ranges that run east and west.
Yeah.
That's the Uinta Mountains and the Buchechny Mountains.
Really? There's only a couple mountain ranges.
There's only two that run east, and everything else runs north and south.
The Lost Josephine Mine is the one where we believe, and legend has it, most of the gold was stashed. And there's a natural cavern that goes down into the earth, and then we understand that it was carved out, and you know, the treasures were basically stuffed in there, and the Spaniards hid them and planned on coming and getting them later on, and history says that they never came back. As of right now, the whole focus is to just start kind of checking places off the list to figure out where to go next and what types of things we're going to be, you know, hunting for, and kind of narrow down the search, because realistically, according to history, the gold could be anywhere from here to 500 miles to the south to a couple hundred miles to the north. It could be anywhere. So it's like searching for a needle in a haystack, literally. I hope you enjoy this. This is going to be one of the best series we've ever done on the channel, and I'm feeling very optimistic that we're, you know, if we don't find gold, we're at least going to find a lot of adventure.
Is this what you're expecting to do today?
This is what I wake up expecting to do every day. Doing hood rat stuff with my hood rat friends.
No, we're looking for the Aztec dimensional transfer station.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, we're trying to. I want to get to the warp station so I can get over to the other planet.
Alan, is this what you were expecting to do today?
No, I wasn't actually expecting to do this. We had like multiple things planned, and next thing I know, I'm on top of a mountain next to a Blackhawk. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what we would do without the Blackhawk now. It's like one of those things that's indispensable.
First shaft that we're going to is kind of the most famous one. In fact, there's like roads and stuff going into it. Not roads, but dirt trails. So it's one that people have accessed a lot. I know a lot of people personally who have gone in here. They say that it's not very deep, but they also say that it appears to have caved in at some point, whether it was a natural cave-in or intentional. Somebody caved it in and you know, intentionally buried stuff. This one is more just kind of checking it off the list, making sure that there's no openings that we're missing. Oh, I got my, yeah. Gotta make sure I got my 4-gas air meter, which basically tells us whether the air in the cave is rotten or not. It tells me what all the gas content in the air is, and if it starts beeping, we get out as quickly as possible. So we're taking this very seriously, all safety precautions, everything we can do to make sure that, you know, these adventures are not only fun, but also safe and nobody gets hurt. We've got enough people that have been talking about it over the years that it's more than just fable. It's more than just tall tales. People are talking about this because there's something more to it, I believe, and I do believe that it's all interconnected. The ancient stuff is much harder to figure out because it's so much longer ago and harder to get, you know, to date certain things. But when you start talking about 1700s, then you're talking about copper brass tools, that kind of stuff. You're talking about copper maps that have been found. That stuff is I think, the gateway to figuring out where we came from.
Please wait.
Got to get the gas detector fired up. We'll find a kind of a baseline of what good air is supposed to be. It's going to do our calibration, and then this bad boy will just sit there and measure all the air that we're breathing to make sure that we're not breathing junk.
Low concentration.
Sealed off for whatever reason. Again, I don't think this one goes back very far from what we've been told. This one just goes in a little ways. There's a string of lights already through here. Do you think that in some of these mines, the minerals were actually being extracted from those areas, or were those places where the Spaniards or whoever they were was stashing them before they shipped them? Do you think they were coming from all over the West?
There's a lot of minerals in
Yeah.
the Uinta Mountains.
Yeah.
Just in and of themselves.
It's a combination of a lot of different things. They was here mining it. I think they also
Yes.
found some stuff that was here that was already anciently mined.
This is wild. This mine has seen a lot of activity. All these timbers and stuff that were used to shore up the rocks. And somebody's been doing some serious work in here. They got rope, they got lights set up. Again, this is a very popular mine. Grab another headlamp. Can we bring one? So this is where things get a little bit interesting. There's a little cavern that goes that way. This mine has to be deeper than this. With all the infrastructure they have in here, it has to have been something that caved in. So I can see through here and it looks like I can see the end, but I want to pop down in this little cavern just to make sure that there's no additional little pockets that could potentially be openings that may be caved in.
There were approximately 7 locations where the gold was pulled from. Caleb Rhodes only got gold for the church out of a couple of those mines.
Those were the 7 sacred mines. There were many more.
So there was an old 1741 Peralta map. It's a leather map. And it shows over 100 mines on that Spanish map.
Wow.
So that's what the Spaniards knew about the Uinta Mountains.
They said there was enough gold in the Uintas to pave the streets of New York City at the time, and when Caleb Rhodes wanted the reservation cut back so he could go in and get some of this gold, he couldn't get it because it was on the reservation. He said if they would cut it back, he'd pay off the national debt at that time.
I heard that, yeah, I've seen that in the stories. Yeah. See, this looks like the tunnel kept going down through here, and maybe at one point in time went all the way down, but just got caved in or intentionally filled in. There's really no way to know without moving a bunch of this material. It definitely looks like it should be deeper than it is. This rock is crumbling pretty good too. Not an ideal place to be with how loose this rock is. All right. So you can see what appears to be the original cavern went down through here. This has been filled in and looks like somebody has been trying to pull material out with a little bucket system. But something tells me that if we were to keep digging through there, there would be some more stuff in there, or this tunnel would keep going. But it's hard to say without having the right tools and equipment to be able to come in and really excavate it, which we don't have, authority to do because this is somebody else's mining claim. We can't touch, move, or do anything with anything that we find in here because it's not ours. So today we're just exploring. Try to be as respectful as we can. Don't want to mess up anybody's operation. There's probably, like you said, a combination of active mines where they were extracting the minerals, and then there's caverns and caves and hiding places where they were just using them as vaults. And that's probably some of the stuff that's still stashed up there. The tricky part about the Uintas is it's a wilderness, and the Forest Service doesn't want anybody up there mining and poking around. Somebody recently has been here trying to move material, and it looks to me like they're trying to punch down through this tunnel because it probably keeps going. For what I understand, somebody had some drilling rights up here. See, this is the stuff that's just dangerous as shit. This whole rock is just waiting to cave off and just literally fall on somebody's head, which is why you see all these timbers and stuff. All those rocks, or all these timbers and logs, are shoring up pieces like this so they don't fall on your head while you're in there, because this would be a really bad day for somebody to have a 300-pound boulder pin you. Even when I was down inside there, a chunk probably that big fell off right in my hand. Dangerous, risky business for sure. This little cave goes back in there.
Grab chunks of it and chew on it.
Might come all the way around. It opens up though.
Have I ever told you that I'm claustrophobic?
Yeah, so it looks to me like this could be a tunnel that wraps around and goes that way. Somebody's got a shovel here. So somebody like Alan has been in here just slowly picking away, and it definitely looks like there is an old path that went that way. That is for sure caved in.
Mel Fisher actually found a gold bar at the Atocha site and had a map on the back side of it, and it led him to Utah. Mel Fisher actually found the manifesto for the Atocha. He knew what was supposed to be there and so on. He knew where the gold and silver had come from, and so it led him to Utah. So back in '96, Mel Fisher was here, and he was hiking around these hills trying to find the source of the gold.
This is an interesting rock formation here. You never know how much of these rocks are holding up the roof above us, and since there's very, very little timber shoring up like this big chunk behind me, there's a lot of risk involved with what we're doing right here. This all looks like it was previously excavated and caved in though. I think this was a giant path that went through here, and they've got their little sleds over there, toboggans, that they fill up with material and, you know, pull out one load at a time. Yeah, that's interesting how there's a lot of rocks that are caved in and a lot of timbers and stuff. So it means at one point this was more open. So as part of our goal here with this expedition is to look for areas that could potentially still be explored that haven't been explored yet because of lack of manpower or resources. So as we kind of get to know these places, today's more an exploratory mission to figure out what's going on here. And then also we're in touch with some of the old timers that either own these claims or know about them. And then we're gonna work with them to get approval to see if we can come in and do a little bit more like actually moving materials to see if we can't open up their claims for them and figure out whether or not this is a tunnel system that went further back in here. But if I was a Spaniard and I was trying to hide gold, this is exactly where I would try to stash it. I'd bury this stuff back in here. But it's, you know, if you got that much gold, I'm guessing that you took the time to really bury it deep. Well,
Hello.
I'm coming back, Al.
Oh, you're coming back.
I'm coming back.
We'll have to back up then.
and there are little pathways going all over through here.
Now, one thing, Dave, to look for is when they stack up stones looking like they just stacking them to the left, a lot of times they hid stuff back in those. Miners would like put stuff that they didn't want people to find. They'll just stack up, they have to get rid of stone anyway. So they'll hide something back there and then they stack the stone up. They would do, a lot of times they do that for hiding some of their ores, good ores or whatever, or certain tools.
Is this light helping or hindering?
Yeah, somebody's been in there slowly pulling out one bucket at a time, trying to open it back up.
Seen. Let's get to the good stuff.
So you've got, so you're holding something here. What have you got?
Yeah, Dave, I thought you might be interested in
I'm
this.
very interested.
Wow. So this is a chunk of silver.
That's a silver bar. Spanish silver bar.
And it's got engravings on it.
It sure does.
Where did this come from?
That came from Hoyt Peak. So the medicine man told a guy where to look or there'd been a massacre. And he went up there and he found bars, he found a Spanish cannon, found a Spanish spur, and other artifacts in that area. The Spanish had been working their mines up on Hoyt Peak. As we know, Josephine's up there and some other mines. They had actually poured this bar. As you can see, it's kind of rougher on one side. So what they did was they probably dug a hole in the sand and poured it into the sand. And then after it set a little bit, then they could stamp it.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm calling Terry Carter.
Hey.
Hey Terry, how are you?
Dave.
Hey, so we just popped out of the mine, the first Josephine mine here up by Hoyt Peak. There's a good chance that hole goes way deeper than what it currently shows because most of the debris in there is all just loose stuff that looks like it was tossed in.
So it's supposed to go deeper, but so what happened was John Young owned it in the 50s and 60s, and they found a wooden door with something metal behind, with some heavy bars behind it. They couldn't get through the door, so they put a little bit of dynamite in there. When they blew it, it blew the whole thing in. So they've had miners going in there trying to get back into where they was at, but they just, and then the Forest Service shut them down.
Okay, so we got a good idea of what this mine is, and is there multiple shafts in this area?
So there's a shaft there. It's called the Glory Hole. It's got a gate, an iron gate over it. So there are some things up in the canyons up in Moon Lake, and that's where I'm looking at. I probably didn't tell you good enough. This stone bear, this life-size carved stone bear, the Indians said that a bear guards the mind. Bear was carved in so much detail that it even carved all the hair in it. So
What part of the lake was that on?
15, 18 miles up
never went
above
back,
the
yeah.
lake.
This is rugged,
Oh yeah.
rugged country.
So on foot, man, on foot, it's a day to get there. On horseback, it still takes a while, and you can't see everything from the ground. You just can't.
No, you can't.
These are 200-foot ledges.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go along them creeks is 200-foot ledges. That bear is in a literal fortress.
So after wrapping up our search at the first mine location, we're heading over to Moon Lake area to check out a site that's been talked about for years. This is a giant bear carved out of stone, hidden somewhere in these insanely rugged mountains. We didn't spend too much time in the air today, so this trip is more about kind of getting acquainted with the area, scoping out the terrain from above, and preparing for the real hunt. We're coming back with the old timers who will guide us to the exact locations we need to search. And a lot of these spots are so remote, they're only accessible by helicopter or horseback. So today was just a preview of the real adventure to come.